our mics on, so it goes right into the system. Which I'd like to, at this time, remind everybody that the meetings will be broadcast through YouTube, Parkside Borough Council. We went under budget for the equipment, and thank you to Councilman Long, Councilman Capabianco, who set up all the wiring, and to Mr. Bennett. Yep. Thank you so much.
Parkside Manners.
So if everybody needs to talk into their mics so that everybody gets heard. Right now we're going to do a roll call. Mrs. Higgins is out ill. So everybody bear with me as I shuffle a lot of papers tonight. Mayor Dietman.
Here.
Vice President Bull.
Here.
Councilman Long.
Here.
Councilman Sidlow.
Here.
I am here. Councilman Capabianco.
I'm here.
Councilman Schwaggart.
Here.
Councilwoman Guy.
Here.
Mr. Pisani is excused. Chief Murray.
Here.
Emergency Management Coordinator Powers.
Here.
Solicitor Wills.
Here.
Engineer Catania.
Here.
And Mrs. Higgins is excused. Everybody's had an opportunity to read the minutes of the previous meeting. What's your pleasure, please?
Make a motion to pass last month's minutes.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved. Mrs. Higgins has left me a report for the month of July. License and inspections, $7,211. A donation from Miss Kim Roman, $100. Recorder of deeds, $1,470.95. Parking tickets, $15. Court financial services, $500. Parking permits, $15. Pendelco, 1/2 of the crossing guard fees, $7,939.97. Tax Claim Bureau, $4,168.99. District Court, $237.16. At this time, I'd like to make an announcement that please be advised that as of now, we will no longer read written correspondence, whether pro or con, that is not business related to the governing of this borough. We want to take the high road and not stoke hard feelings, drive a further wedge between residents and divisions that have occurred in this borough. We need to rise above it. And Mrs. Higgins did not leave me anything else. So we will move on to the mayor's report. Mayor Dietman.
Yeah, Jeff, you're up.
Good evening, Madam President, citizens. Good evening, Council. Before I get to the monthly police report, I'd like to discuss an issue that, once again, our police department was under attack based on a situation that happened in the city of Chester. I have a screenshot of an email which was posted. I don't know on whose Facebook page this was posted. I have just heard that the president has requested that no correspondence be read, and I will honor that request. I'll just give you a quick rundown on what the author stated. She was very concerned about the time of response and very concerned that the police department, particularly our police department, didn't take this response seriously. The actual incident involved a mother in the city of Chester over on Parkway Avenue. And she had inadvertently locked her keys in the car. And not only did she lock the keys in the car, she also locked her child in the car. So obviously she was quite distraught about this, as I'm sure we all would be if we were parents. She called 911. And the result of all this is this particular screenshot that I have now. The day after the incident, Chief Murray released the following press release. Quote, "It has come to our attention that comments are being made on Facebook regarding an incident yesterday involving a child locked in a car and the police response to that incident. The information posted is inaccurate, and I just want to make sure the correct information is posted for all to see. At 10:30 yesterday, that would be 19 July, At 10:30 yesterday, the 911 center received a call for keys locked in a vehicle with the child in the car. The location was the 200 block of West Parkway Avenue in the city of Chester. The call was dispatched to Chester PD at 10:31. Shortly thereafter, at 10:32, Chester PD requested the dispatcher to check and see if Parkside Police Department and/or Brookhaven Police Department had a lockout kit. Parkside Police Department Officer McEwen acknowledged and responded at 10:33. 2 minutes later, at 10:35, Officer McEwen arrived. When he arrived, the window of the car had already been broken out and the child had been removed. He spoke briefly to the woman, checking to see if the child needed any medical attention, and was told no, that the child was fine and no medical attention was required. Officer McEwen then cleared the scene at 10:37. The times stated above are taken directly from the 911 computer center log. They are not estimates, but rather accurate times as recorded during the incident. This incident is an example of how our police department assists other agencies when the need arises. In this case, the child was already removed from the vehicle, but had that not happened, we would have been able to unlock the vehicle in a timely fashion. Having arrived on scene in 4 minutes from the original dispatch to Chester PD and 2 minutes from when we were notified. I hope this clears up my any misinformation that was posted. And just to give you a quick rundown, at 10:30, 911 center was notified. At 10:31, 911 center notified the city of Chester. At 10:32, the Chester Police Department requested assistance from either Parkside or Brookhaven with a lockout kit. At 10:33, Officer McEwen from the Parkside Police Department responded. At 10:35, Officer McEwen was on the scene, and at 10:37, Officer McEwen cleared the scene. The entire incident took 7 minutes. This email was posted about 20 minutes after the incident was cleared. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we have our police department under attack for statements and posts that are substantially untrue and based totally on non-factual information. Now, as I said before, I don't know where this was posted, but what even concerns me more is once Chief Murray posted the information, another Facebook page, a post showed up accusing us of being involved in a cover-up to, and I believe the phrase was, protect the asses of the Parkside Police Department. Now, that's ludicrous. Do you know who would have to be involved with the cover-up? It would have to be myself, Chief Murray, the President of Council, the Chairman of the Public Safety Committee, the call taker at the 911 center, the dispatcher at the 911 center, the dispatcher supervisor, and probably the supervisor of the total 911 center. As I said, once we posted the facts, that was it. But yet, this continued to have legs, as they say, until whoever is in charge, whoever the administrator is in charge of the website it was on, I believe they took the posts down. Now, this engendered a question from Councilman McGinnis-Scott. And her question was simply this: are not the police to be held responsible for what they do? And you know, I think that's a fair question. It's a fair question because Councilman McGinnis-Scott is an elected official of this borough, and it's a fair question because any of you that pay taxes in this borough have a right to know whether the police are going to be held responsible. Absolutely, they are held responsible, Madam President. But the police didn't do anything wrong here. The police responded as they should within a logical period of time. By the time they got over there, the child had been taken out of the car, and the officer spoke to the mother and cleared the case. I know that you people are sick of me here almost every week, every month, having to get up and defend the police department. Well, the best way to keep me from doing that, don't go after the cops. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go after the cops. If you don't go after the cops, I won't have anybody to defend, and the council can go on without listening to me. That's just the way it is. I'm not going to stop doing it, especially when we have to put up with this type of fake news based on total unfactual issues. Whoever this person is that posted this, all they had to, or the administrator, whoever that is, all they had to do was pick up their phone and dial myself or the chief and say, could you explain what happened? I'm a little concerned. But it's just beyond me. So, as I said before, you can expect me to defend the police department. And if the police department if an officer on this police department does anything wrong, violates procedure, violates the law, then it's the responsibility of myself and the mayor and the chief to handle that. If you have a complaint, go through channels. Don't complain on Facebook and then take it down. Thank you, Madam President. Also, and finally, let's talk about what good the police department did for us.
You have a
next
report
month.
tonight.
July 1st, 2020 to July 31st, there were 19 crimes reported. There were 4 thefts from vehicles, 6 attempted thefts, 1 theft other, 1 robbery, 1 disorderly conduct, 3 assaults, 1 motor vehicle theft, and 2 others. 103 calls for service. Other than somebody brandishing a weapon at a police officer, the most dangerous call a police officer can go on is a domestic. In that period of time, our police officers responded to 11 domestics in this small town. There were 3 suspicious persons, 7 medical emergencies, 2 neighbor disputes, 6 animal complaints, 10 assist other agencies, and 4 public service. There were 3 motor vehicle stops, and there were also 2 very serious motor vehicle accidents. So other than that, that's my report, and thank you very much.
Does anybody have any questions for the mayor and his report? At this time, if any citizen wishes to address council on agenda items only, agenda items only. Moving on to the president's report, we have scheduled budget meetings for council on Mondays, September 14th and October 12th at 6:30 p.m. and they will be duly advertised. We have scheduled, based on the availability of our engineer and our solicitor, a planning meeting of council on Thursday, September 17th at 6:30 for the Delcora 537 plan. I had received questions from constituents concerning the Pendelco School District tax. Are they going to be reimbursed because school is going to be virtual learning? I reached out to the president of the Pendelco School District Board, and he responded with, currently there is no plan to reimburse or reduce the current school taxes for Pendelco School District. Although it may seem that there is a cost savings by having virtual learning, the district has seen an increase in spending since the pandemic has occurred. And he gives several reasons as to why the district will not be reimbursing any type of funds to the general public. And he also says that the school district has always taken pride in running on a very lean budget. I guess it's his opinion. Also, I'd like to just mention that the 19th Amendment was ratified today, giving women the right to vote, and it's Women's Equality Day. So I thought I'd throw that one in. Thank you all for that one. Thursday with with Ms. Catania, I'll be attending a kickoff meeting for our 2020 CDBG grant in the amount of $93,600. So we're very excited to get this grant moving forward. And council will note in Mr. Pisani's bills, our insurance premiums are starting to go up. Also, council had an executive session in which we did have a quorum in attendance. We also had 2 members of the fire company in attendance, and I appreciate their help. I am going to make an official statement concerning this quorum. I would ask that be put on our website, an email blast be put out, and if everyone can share this information with the residents in any way you choose. And also, I've asked Mr. Bennett to please place this information in the newsletter. And if we can share this with as many people, many of our residents as we can, I'd appreciate it. The officers of the fire company have diligently negotiated with Prospect Holdings, the company that currently owns Crozier-Chester Medical Center and other entities, for over a year now, to have the paramedics stay at the Parkside Fire Company. Prospect Holdings has requested that they enter into a contract with the fire company for $31,000 a month, the same contractual amount in which Springfield Township would also be paying. This amount of monies is not financially feasible. Most certainly, you cannot compare Springfield Township to Parkside Borough, not only in size, but financially. We have had a paramedic unit in the firehouse for almost 20 years, in which the fire company has received 100% of the billing, and last year purchased a new ambulance. The end result is the paramedic units will be pulled out of Parkside Fire Company by Prospect Holdings on September 13th. Unfortunately, those of us who have subscribed to the ambulance service will not be reimbursed for the subscription amount. Crozier Hospital will be supplying ambulance service after September 13th to our residents. They will be billing individual insurance companies, whether you have insurance through an Obamacare company, private insurance, or Medicare. We believe that the difference from the insurance carrier's portion will be billed to the patient. Our police department and the 911 center will be so advised, along with the neighboring communities, of this changeover. I would like to thank the officers of the fire company and Mr. Wills for all their time and hard work to try to keep the ambulance service here in Parkside. And shame on Prospect Holdings for looking at money and profit and not looking at our residents' needs to have the paramedics stay here. So again, I'd appreciate if we could get this out to as many of our residents as possible so that they are aware when they see 82.7, I think is the first unit that'll roll down.
Can you send me that electronically?
If I can.
All right.
Or you can do a synopsis, however you
All
want
right,
to do
all
it.
right.
I'll try to, I'll make myself a note.
Please do that.
I will try. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have this evening. Unless you have a question, we'll move on. Junior
Madam
Counsel,
President, I have a question.
would you hold it until
Just
Paul?
asked if we had a question.
No, council.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Hold it for call to citizen, please. Our junior council person is not here this evening. We'll move on to Nick Capabianco.
Thank you, Madam President. All police vehicles went under their general maintenance for the month. I'll move on to code enforcement. We have a problem property here on West Avon. It's in foreclosure. There's trees down in the back there that hit the back of the house, and it's all caved in, and it's just laying there, and it's all messed up. And I sent them certified mail. They received it. They didn't reply back to me, so I will be seeing them in court. For Public Works, we had 2 street light repairs were replaced on East Shelton and Brenner Roads and 12 West Rowan. They'll be the street lights that can be repaired. At this time, I'd like to make a motion for the single service maintenance contract. It's for, I think it's $500. $525. That will include for the year, that will include, let's see, what it includes. That'll include single heads, mass arms and poles, span wire and poles, push buttons, detect sensors, junction boxes, relays, flashers, switches, and terminal connections. So I'd like to make a motion for $525 for the single service contract. And you can also see this contract if you want to see it when Linda comes back.
Second.
Any questions on the motion?
So that's to maintain the traffic light?
Yes,
I see.
yes.
In that contract, is there the usual annual inspection? I haven't seen an annual inspection from them. They should be doing one annually as part of the contract. So if that's not happening, I'll check with Bill Dunn. They should be checking the foundation. It's a PennDOT requirement.
Mm-hmm.
Checking the foundation, checking all of the bolt connections.
I thought they did one in January.
The last one that I saw had, it still had the pine trees on it from the property that was adjoining because there was a visibility
Yeah, I
issue.
haven't seen one in a while.
Yeah,
That's why I wanted to
probably
know
been a
if it
little
was
while.
in there or not. But I would suggest, it probably should be included in that, but that's the reason I was asking. I haven't seen a report from them for a while.
I don't see it in here.
Nick, could you,
Oh, preventive maintenance, here it is. Right there.
Preventive maintenance, complete relamping, inspection for proper installation, inspection to ensure conformance with installation of PennDOT permit. It's in there.
It's in there.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Mhm.
any other questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved.
And that's all I have.
And Ms. Catania's going to have that emailed to them.
Okay.
Moving on
Can
to,
I ask a question? So you said 2 streetlights?
I'm sorry?
I wanted to ask a question. So you said 2 streetlights were replaced
Or repaired.
or repaired? What does that mean?
Repaired.
Okay.
So if you've got a sole in your shoe and you lost your heel, that's repaired.
Okay.
Same like with repaired.
So it was the pole or it was the light or what was
It's the light head.
It's the light head itself.
Okay.
And I think now it's an LED.
So
Yes,
it's replaced
that's
LED?
correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, so how much does that cost?
It was 425,
I don't have the
I
numbers
believe it
here.
was 425
For both lights?
each.
Each? Okay. So that's just not relamping, there's more repairs than that? Okay.
Any other questions for Councilman Capabianca? Moving on to the ordinance report, Councilman Schwager.
I'd like to make a motion to advertise a change, ordinance 563, which is a change to section 129 of the Borough Code. This is the peddling and soliciting. Looking to remove the current statement of permit and license fees, and replace it with a slightly more specific version, where the permit and license fees for ice cream and water ice vendors will be $100 for the permit, and the health license shall be an additional $100, so it should make it a $200 yearly expense rather than the $500, which it will be for all other solicitations and peddling. There's also going to be a limit of 3 permits per calendar year, and it's going to be on a first-come, first-served basis.
Do I hear a second to advertise?
Second.
Any questions on the motion?
Amendments 100% have to be advertised on this?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
Hearing no other questions, all those in favor to advertise ordinance 563?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved.
And other than that, for ordinances, I just report general progress.
Super. Any questions for Councilman Schwager?
I have a question about, what do you call it, recreation.
Can we wait until we get there?
Oh, I'm sorry, is that on the list?
Yes.
Further down.
Sorry, excuse me.
License and inspections, Councilman Long.
Thank you, Madam President. Permits issued, building was residential 15, commercial 0. Plumbing, residential 6, commercial 0. Mechanical, residential 0, commercial 0. Electrical, residential 2, commercial 0. The use and occupancy, inspections were completed, there were 7. Re-inspections completed were 3. Street opening permits issued, 0.
Thank you. Any questions for the councilman? Emergency management, Mr. Powers?
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to touch on what you already mentioned in your President's report. September 13th at 0700 hours, Crozier will not provide, Parkside Fire Company will not provide an ambulance. There was some bad information already put out there that there would be no ambulance responding in Parkside, which is again, not true. The ambulance service will come strictly out of Crozier, and 82.7 backup, 81.7 from the west end, and Crozier's also putting another unit out of service out of Tinicum 100B that will also be involved to cover Parkside's area. We will have no control over ambulance service, ambulance billing. The fire truck will be converted as much as we can to have medical supplies on it. Still will respond. Probably will beat Crozier in. When we can, we'll staff it with a EMT. We'll have an automatic defibrillator on it. All members will be trained in automatic defibrillation and CPR. So we're in the process of moving medical supplies onto the fire truck to help however we can continue to support the emergency management system here in the borough. That's all I have for emergency management. Under the fire marshal report, if you allow me just to move right into the next report, the 2801 Edgemont Avenue, which is the church, the fire suppression unit has been installed, it's been hydro tested, and it is up to par, and permits has been issued. Health inspector report, we are still continuing to follow all CDC guidelines until further notice. Social distance will continue, masks shall be worn. Outdoor dining has been permitted at a few places here in the borough who've asked for it. And that's all I have for all 3 reports.
I appreciate it, and I thank you very much, and thank the members for me. Any questions for the emergency management coordinator? Moving on, Vice President Bull, would you like to talk money? Or the lack of?
We're spending it, so absolutely not.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam President, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I would like to make a motion to pass Resolution 1824, which is our 2021 municipal minimum municipal obligation for the police pension. And at this time, well, in past years, we've employed Act 44 smoothing, which would leave our obligation at $55,314.
Any questions on the motion? Oh, did I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I would like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 1825, which will extend our 2020 tax anticipation note through...
November?
Is it
November
November
30th.
this time? Okay, it was due to be up
June 30th.
June 30th, so this is just going to give us a little bit of a buffer just to make sure we don't have any real issues, and the rates are so favorable that it's close to free money, so hope someone will second.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? And may I point out to council, and to the public that's here because of the virus pandemic, our finances, just like your home finances, it can be very difficult. And that's why we've approached through our treasurer and our solicitor, Sharon Bank, to extend this loan. Any other questions on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved.
Thank you, Madam President. And lastly, we have a code supplement estimate for the actual online portion of our municipal codes. And this is our first payment in quite some time. So the estimate comes in somewhere around 780 to just under $900, or $945, I'm sorry, $760 to $945, which will include supplements and all the missing legislation as far as that goes. So I would like to make a motion to purchase this supplement for the code.
I'll second.
Any questions on the motion?
So this is to have the E-codes be online, or?
This is general code, I'm sorry, yes, the E-code, yeah, this is part of continuing that program online with the new updated ordinances over the last couple of years.
Oh, so as we adopt ordinances, we email those into somebody and they put them on the E-codes?
That's
Yeah,
correct.
and this is the first time in years that we've actually had to have an updated supplement. So it's included, and I imagine this will get us probably through for another couple of years.
And
They're very favorable as far as what we get for what we pay.
it is a great source of reference that anybody in the borough, really just a click of a mouse, can go online and be able to certainly reference and review the various ordinances that may be applicable to their particular situation.
Very much so. Any other questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I would like to move along to the woodlot project. It's been a few weeks since I've taken a walk through the park, but I believe the last of the lighting was done. I would have to defer to Ms. Catania, or I'm sorry, Engineer Catania.
Either one.
It works.
I answered it.
I would like to be respectful to our professional staff. So I believe Ertel has finished with the lighting. I believe some of the other.
All the lights are in currently. We're currently working on the punch list.
September
that we
14th.
provided, so they're expecting this to be done within the next 2 weeks.
Yep.
Oh, fantastic. So it's been a long road, but it's coming together. So from what I hear, end of the month, we should have a proper fitness trail. And hopefully they'll ease up on some of these restrictions and we can have some sort of celebration, inauguration for it. And with that, I will report general progress.
Super, thank you so much. Any questions for Vice President Bull? Moving on to recreation, Councilman Schwager.
For recreation, just kind of looking ahead while looking at this year. Can you take one and pass it down? Unfortunately, we don't have activities that we can plan, at least under any kind of current situation. One of the things that the rec committee has talked about with a couple times is trying to do like a movie night during the summer down at the Woodlot possibly, or maybe over at the school. And in doing so, we have an audio system, I was informed, but I'd like to purchase a projector and screen using some of the budget money this year. Since we don't have the activities going on, it's a good chance to get stuff to further beyond the large group activities, to add something else next year when hopefully we can all get together in nice, fun activities. So I'd like to make a motion to purchase what we have here. What I've proposed is an Epson Pro EX 9220 projector and a 100-inch portable screen Total price of both coming to $895.89.
I got a question.
And wait a minute, I need a second.
I'll second.
Go ahead. Any questions on the motion?
Yeah, I do. You said rec committee. I know I'm on a rec committee, and I wasn't told about this. I'm talking right now. Were you told about it? You on the rec committee?
I have not heard about it.
Okay. Right. All right, well, go ahead, I'll second it, I don't care, but I'm just letting you know, I'm on rec committee.
Well, I'm saying the idea of summer movies was brought up back in February at the first meeting that Mr. Sidlow ran, when we met in March as well. And I did have a meeting of the rec committee that I did announce and put out there in July, and it was discussed there as well. So I looked into this to kind of follow up with that idea that has been brought up at several of the meetings.
Several meetings, all right. Sure.
Apparently you weren't invited to the meetings.
Yep. Actually, the first two Scott mentioned, he announced that council as the first Wednesday of each month. And yes, I did put out there about a meeting in July.
Any other questions on the motion? Then I'm sorry, go ahead, Vice President.
I am 100% for it, but I think that we could do this a little bit more just in time. So I would say yes to the funds, but I don't think we should purchase it until, 2 weeks before the event or 3 weeks before. There's no reason to keep it in a box. There's no reason to keep it as far as that goes. So if
That sounds like a good plan. Like I said, I'm just trying to present this now. Even if we wait, if the money's not there, if we wait till the end of the fiscal year, if it's there, still available, fine. I'm just proposing this to council now.
Let's do it this way. I'm going to do a roll call vote. This would be to purchase it now versus waiting at a total cost of $896. Mr. Sidlow?
Aye.
Mrs. Guy?
No.
Mr. Schwager?
I'll say no. The idea of what? The idea of
Madam
waiting.
President, may I just make a motion to table it?
I don't
believe
think
we're all
I'm in the middle of a vote, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Councilman Long?
No.
Councilman Capabianco?
No.
Councilman Bull?
No.
And myself is a no. The motion does not carry, and we'll revisit this in the spring. Do you have anything else, Councilman Schwager?
No, other than that, I can just report general progress for the recreation report.
Okey-doke.
Yeah, thanks for putting it together. We can use it for meetings, we can use it for all kinds of stuff.
We're going to move on to the recycling.
I have a question for recreation. So was the Back to Blue event, was that a recreation activity? Was that a borough activity?
That was not organized by the recreation committee, no.
Okay. So an email from the Borough of Parkside was sent out.
Councilman, why don't you wait until new business or old business? This has nothing to do with recreation. He just answered no, it was not.
Okay.
Let's move on to recycling. Mrs. Guy, do you have anything this evening for recycling?
Yes, thank you. We had 7.28 tons of recycling, and I received a nice handout from B&L, and I will begin spreading the information that they gave to me to educate our residents on what can and cannot be recycled.
Last month, you indicated you were going to look into electronic recycling. Did you get any further with that?
I did call them, and she said to call back after Labor Day.
After Labor Day. Does anybody have any questions for Mrs. Guy? Moving on to the tax collector's report. Mr. Fisher left a report, and it said, "Good evening. The treasurer has received a total of $881,193 to date. There was $22,817.12 in revenue deposits from June 20th to August 9th. Thank you, Ed Fisher." Ms. Catania, do you have a report tonight?
I do. We've already talked about the woodlot. We've already talked about the community development block grant. The only thing that I want the residents to be aware of is that A.F. Damon is proposing to be in the area. They're in another municipality up northeast of here. They should be down here in about 2 weeks. I'll certainly let Borough Secretary know so that we can put it out on Facebook and the website that A.F. Damon will be here in about 2 weeks. So we're looking at the first to second week of September to do the milling and paving. The planning meeting that will be held on the
14th, 17th?
17th. My days are all going together. I apologize.
I know, I hear
On the
ya.
17th is actually a meeting. Delcora has a responsibility to DEP to, I should take this off because
Please.
I'm very muddled and I
Please.
apologize recording it. It doesn't work all this well. As part of their responsibility to DEP, they need to do a Act 537, which is a planning activity for the transfer of the Delcora assets to Aqua, which is, they're under contract with Aqua. They provided a draft report. I have read the draft report. I guess last week they formally sent a final draft of that 537 report to the borough. I haven't gone through it yet. I had probably 30 comments concerning the plan that was draft. I don't know if any of those comments have been resolved with the final draft or the final report that they've done. One of the things that concerns me a little bit about this report is that it's supposed to be giving DEP an idea of where things will be going once Aqua takes over the system. It talks very much about what has been done by Delcora historically on 537s and improvements to the system, but it falls short, in my professional opinion, on the planning end of where our Aqua is going. There are several items in the report that are directives or orders by DEP to Delcora that will have to be taken care of. It's implied in the draft report. Again, I haven't seen the final report. I haven't gone through the final report. So I'm hoping that at this meeting we'll be able to discuss what we see in the report. The report is here at the borough. If anyone would like to see a copy of it, I have it in electronic form, so if anyone would like to have a copy of it electronically, it should be available. And anyone has any comments, I would suggest to you that you come to the meeting to discuss that. Planning Commission is going to take comments. Hopefully they have their own comments. And there is a resolution that Delcora is looking for the municipality to adopt. That should be adopted. They're saying September till a drop dead date of January. So we have some time to go through with the Planning Commission and then take action should council decide that they want to take action on it. And I believe unless anyone has any questions, I have nothing further.
Does anybody have any questions for our engineer? Moving on to the solicitor's report, Mr. Wills.
Yes, thank you, Madam President, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Earlier this week, or I should say late last week, I received an email from the Delaware County Board of Assessment Appeals just reminding the various solicitors that the deadline to file a tax assessment appeal on your property is next Tuesday, which is September the 1st. So if anyone is dissatisfied with their recent assessment, again, that deadline is next Tuesday. there is no filing fee to file that tax assessment appeal. With regard to the meeting on September 17th to discuss the 537 sewage treatment plan, again, that meeting needs to be properly advertised, and I'll be in touch with the Borough Secretary to make sure that advertisement gets in the Delaware County Daily Times. Touching on what the engineer said, I did receive from the Delcor solicitor a proposed amendment to our service agreement that we have with Delcor that basically treats our wastewater. So whether we decide to adopt this service amendment agreement sometime in the fall, it will be somewhat dependent on the meeting we have on September 17th and other discussions that the engineer may have with the engineering folks down at Delcor. But that's something I'll have on Borough Council's agenda, if not at the September meeting, perhaps at the October or November monthly meeting. As Council President indicated, we are going to begin the budget sessions sometime after Labor Day. And again, I would advise Borough Council, so that we are in compliance with the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act, that that budget schedule, again, needs to be properly advertised in the Delaware County Daily Times, so that, again, any citizens that may have an interest in attending those budget sessions certainly may do so. Finally, there is an issue, or there has been issues certainly with regard to our fire company. And in the spirit of full disclosure and transparency, I wish to advise everybody that I serve as solicitor for approximately 1/2 dozen volunteer fire companies in Delaware County, including the Parkside Fire Company. I do not anticipate any type of conflict of interest. If there certainly is a conflict of interest, I will identify that for Borough Council immediately and recuse myself from any of those discussions. But I want to place that out to the general public. Other than that, Madam President, I can report general progress.
Super. Any questions for our solicitor? At this time, we do call to citizens. You have 3 minutes. If you can come up to the microphone. I don't know if that one's on or not, and give us your name and your address, please, and your question.
Not plugged in.
Yeah, plug it in.
No, it's plugged in. Just hit the, there you go. It's on.
Thank you. Matthew Saunders, 62 East Shelton Road. I have a question for Mr. Powers and the fire company. So, and I understand that this was a decision made by the owners of Crozier Chester.
Yes, Prospect Holdings.
I understand that. Am I to understand that we will no longer have ambulance service coming out of the firehouse?
That's correct.
So that brand new ambulance, gone?
What they plan on doing, we have not received their financial intentions yet, but they are discussing selling it.
So we'll have to wait for Tinicum or Chester
No,
or Brookhaven
no.
to roll an ambulance?
No, it'll come right from Crozier, 82.7, I believe will be.
If it's available. Otherwise, Tinicums are backup.
No, they won't come in that far.
At the discretion of the chief, right now, the cards that we placed in the CAD system will be 82.7, a backup ambulance that they're getting rid of out of Tinicum. Has nothing to do with
Oh,
Tinicum.
all right, well, I heard Tinicum, I just wanted
Yeah.
clarity on that, so thank you for
100B
that.
is an ambulance in Tinicum.
That's fine.
Crozier's taking it out of service and is moving it into this area. So it'll be covered by 82.7, 81.7, and a unit to be named by Crozier. We have nothing to do with it anymore.
Out of Crozier,
Right.
Yes.
directly out, okay.
Right out of the hospital, I
Out
understand.
of the hospital directly, okay,
Yes.
fine, thank you. I do have another question regarding recreation. As council as a whole, per a previous meeting, has decided that all recreation events this year should be postponed or
Yes,
canceled for the year.
Yeah,
Does that include all?
yes.
including the Ford dedication.
You know, because that's outdoors and we feel that it may
So it's
be,
Community Day.
it may be limited to 25 people.
That
We-
is the health guideline in the state of Pennsylvania.
I would just say-
Gatherings Over 25 people.
That's fine. I'll just say maybe wait until spring.
We haven't even gotten to that part yet. I don't know that the Recreation Committee in coordination with Vice President Bull has even gotten to think about that. We've been so tied up with the virus that
Fair enough.
I don't think anybody's even thought about it.
And again, I'm just thinking for safety and maybe just wait until the spring.
I think everything should wait until spring.
I agree. But again, I just wanted clarification on the ambulance, and I appreciate Mr. Powers' answers, and I apologize for the confusion. Thank you so much.
No worries.
I'm going to leave this on unless you want me to.
Please. Does anybody else wish to address council? If you could come up to the mic, give your name and your address, please.
I work in theater, so I think that you should still be able to hear me.
It's
Is that-
it's your option if you want to take that off.
Can you hear me? Okay. I'm a big mouth, as many of you know. For good or for bad, it can serve me well and get me in trouble. Anyway, Lisa Cosharel, 252 East Avon Road. I have one question, and then I would like to read a short statement.
You have 3 minutes.
Okay, just very quickly, has there ever been, I was just curious because I had never encountered like a police rally like the one that a resident organized. Has that ever happened in Parkside before?
No, it's our first one,
That's your first one, ever?
ever.
Oh, okay, I was just curious. I didn't know if it was like every few years or if it was just, okay. Okay, thank you. This is a letter from Pendelco School District residents for racial justice that was sent to Police Chief Murray and the Police Department on August 12th. Dear Police Chief Murray, we are writing to thank you for not only the fine work that you and your officers do in Parkside, but also for helping to ensure the safety of residents who have exercised their First Amendment rights in a series of peaceful protests held this summer. As you had said in your recent statement of June 2nd regarding the death of George Floyd, quote, every citizen regardless of race, color, creed, sexual orientation, or religion should be treated with dignity and respect. There are no sides when it comes to matters of justice. When we gather as protesters to say Black Lives Matter, we are not claiming that other lives do not matter. When we vocally deplore what happened to George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Philando Castile, Tamir Rice, and many other Black citizens in recent years, we are not saying that all those in law enforcement are bad. We know there are many excellent, conscientious police officers, including those in our very own community. However, as is the case with any institution, there are those in institutions who can abuse their power, and these people must be held accountable for their actions. Furthermore, we believe that future abuses could be averted through honest reevaluation and discussion of policies and practices in our nation's law enforcement. We appreciate life in our small, friendly borough where neighbors support each other in tough times. We are grateful that we live where our police officers know the community well and will do even the little yet important things, such as driving by a house to bring joy to a young child's birthday party. It pains us to see that some have taken the position that the recent protests are sowing division when they should be understood as a sign of residents caring deeply about our community and the diversity of residents who live and work here in Parkside. If we all work together, if we all take the time to actually listen to each other, we can come to enjoy a Parkside that is better than it's ever been before. Sincerely, Pendelco School District residents for racial justice.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to address council? If you would come to the podium, give your name and your address.
I'm sorry, I just thought of another question. Matt Saunders, 62 East Shelton. Earlier this evening, you stated that correspondence will no longer be read into the record at the public meetings. Is that correct?
Correspondence, pro or con, unless it's business related to the government and governing of this borough, will not be read into the record.
So residents that just want to express opinion have no quorum as far as correspondence goes.
Well, that's why we have call to citizens.
Oh, in that case, then I want to read a statement.
You have
I understand. 3 minutes. This
less
is a very
than
quick
3
statement.
minutes, so I'm sure you can read it quickly.
It's very short. It's only one paragraph.
Thank you.
Just got to find it. Give me 1 second. There we go. Okay. This was a letter that was addressed to members of council and the mayor. Recently, several members of this council have been vilified in public meetings without the chance to defend or explain themselves. However, certain other members of council have made hateful, dangerous posts on social media without a word from any other member. Shorty roll, anybody? Please explain what constitutes a bad post that calls for calling out a member of council in public so that the rest of the general public can prepare for the feeding frenzy of other council members attacking that one. Thank you.
I'd like to respond to that. One of the reasons that we will no longer be reading letters is because of the negativity that has been going on. If you listen to my statement, in fact, we don't want to continue to put a wedge between parties and persons. We don't want to escalate the hard feelings and stoke the pain that's already been going on in this community. And also, vile comments have been made against numerous members of this board.
Yes, they have.
And
On both sides.
on both sides, and that's what I'm trying to stop.
And should I go back up? I completely understand. However, some have been vilified in public, others not a word. And some of them have been threats.
And if you've seen the comments against myself personally, if you go back into some of the sites and read them, they're totally inappropriate. But
all of them are,
that's what I'm trying to stop here. Does anybody else wish to address council?
Judy Saunders, 62 East Chelton Road.
Mrs. Saunders, you have 3 minutes, please.
Set your timer.
I did.
Unfortunately, since the letter that I anguished about writing was not going to be read here today, and apparently it is not unity. If you have a question or you have a difference of opinion that matches those of the people here. So I'm going to tell you right now that I belong to a Gold Star family, that I buried a brother from Vietnam, that he served, that my father, my grandfathers, my uncles all served. So to act as though I am not patriotic because I have a difference of opinion than you is ridiculous. To act as though that a child yelling, "This is effing beautiful," is something that's so shocking. We all have to clutch our pearls. But me hearing some resident who was armed screaming the N-word at a child is not something we're going to discuss. If you want to come to the table, if we want to have unity instead of conformity, then you have to hear the other side. Your absolute refusal to listen to anything that is not in jackboot lockstep with you is showing that you don't want unity, that you want conformity. You know what is really stunning to me is that members of Delco Resistant Black Lives Matter went down to the woodlot and cleaned out all the dog shit and cleaned out all the things and planted plants, and not one member of council thanked them. Not one member of council could bring themselves to say, "Hey, good job. Thanks for doing that for our community. We appreciate it." Not one member of council could appreciate that we wrote a heartfelt letter to the police saying, "We love your community policing. Here's, what was it, Fatso's Donuts, to thank you." You know what? If I wasn't out there acting like Black Lives Matter and the police are in total opposition to each other, they're not. During MLK's trash riots, men wore billboards that said, "I am a man." They weren't taking away your ability to be a man or your ability to be a man. They were telling you that I am a man too, and that my life matters too. You want me to sympathize with the residents who are clutching their pearls over riots that aren't existing here, but you won't sympathize with children who are seeing people like them being murdered in the streets. You aren't asking for unity here. I'm sorry, you're not. If you want to come to the table and we're going to discuss it, from members of this council, my child's head was threatened to be cut off and served in a shorty roll Wrong person. She wasn't the assistant manager. You might want to research next time. I have been schooled on what I should do for menopause from a woman who apparently went through it in the 1920s. I've been called a pot stirrer, a keyboard warrior. People have often talked about what my marital contentment is, whether or not I have mental issues. Here's what I'm telling you. One of you got that right. I'm not a keyboard warrior. I'm a warrior, and I come from a long line of them. My mother, during GRID, would take gay men into her home. My father's father would take people who were bums off the train and bring them and feed them in his home. I'm not going away. This is my town. I've spent 25 years doing everything I could to service this town, whether you want to dismiss it or not, whether you want to smear it or not, and I'm not going anywhere.
Mrs. Saunders,
The Academy Award goes to...
Mrs. Saunders, before you leave, I'd like to address your comments on the record.
Peace out.
Can we rebut that?
I'd like to comment with Mrs. Saunders not here, obviously. My family has served in the military since the American Revolution.
As heard.
I have 2 grandsons currently in the military, and I have been informed Monday that my 3rd grandson is enlisting. We all have a difference of opinion, obviously, and that's what we're trying to do. Several of us have, if you've noticed on social media, there's been a lot of changes made, and my changes this evening. The woodlot cleanup, I was not notified that it was cleaned up. We did not receive a letter. We cannot acknowledge anyone if we are not informed about it. Though we are all sympathetic to the situations around us in this world, Mrs. Saunders failed to mention when she made comments about menopause to an employee, she commented that the woman needed to take Xanax because she was mentally ill. And to me, she commented that I was either juiced during or after the council meeting last month, of which I took offense since I don't really drink. So there's been a lot of problems related to social media. Many of us have tried to correct those problems by backing off and taking a high road. We're all entitled to our opinion. And if any other council member would like to respond, please feel free to do so.
Yes, I would. To Mr. Saunders, she says that she's a vet, comes from a vet family, then how come the flag was hung upside down at your
Because
residence?
it's a sign of distress. As long as a Trump is in this White House, that flag will hang upside down.
You had your 3
He
minutes.
asked me a question.
No, I'm addressing this too, since your wife decided to leave and not stand to the council for her.
Put a lid in.
Hey,
You threatened a 23-year-old girl with a beheading and a service in a shorty roll. On Facebook, I have the screenshots.
I do too.
Threatened a 15-year-old girl.
Yeah,
So, excuse me?
Yeah, you guys threatened a 15-year-old.
talk about a bully.
I'm leaving.
I'm not done yet.
Shut up. I don't care what you have to say.
That's enough. If anything, it's going to be respectful.
May I finish? Yes, may I finish?
Yes, please.
She also talked about how, I'm trying to get my notes together, about with the vets and the family, how she could throw the retired veterans and the policemen of Brookhaven under the bus with lies. That was unfair.
It was uncalled for. I don't know both sides of the story, but it was uncalled for. And tempers have become extreme. That's why many of us have tried to calm the situations.
And if anybody's theatrical, that was theatrical. Both of them.
Does anybody else on council have a comment on that? If not, we're going to go into unfinished business. Does anybody have any unfinished business?
Mayor President, I do.
Yes, sir.
I'll fail to mention the emergency management report that on behalf of the borough, I filed the National Incident Command report to the Delaware County Emergency System and to the federal government. The book is available if any council member would like to see the emergency plan for the borough. It is now complete and up to date. Also being said, I just finished the 2020 another National Incident Command certification
Congratulations.
at no cost to the borough.
Thank you very much. Thank you, I appreciate that. At no cost to the borough.
Yes.
At this time, council, I understand Mr. Sidlow has new business, or somebody has new business. If not, we will look to adjourn.
Well, I just wanted to say that I felt it was very inappropriate for this rally notice for Back to Blue to be put out through the borough email system. It was not a borough event, and therefore it should not have been publicized as though it was a borough activity.
Let me address that, Councilman. And the young lady is still here, in which I talked to that evening. What had happened is the two residents who put this event together gave us specific verbiage. I spoke with the young lady in the back that night when she and I talked about the problem. And as I said, nobody from any of the Black Lives Matter events came to the borough and communicated any type of verbiage that would be sent out or asked us to send anything out. And that's what happened on that.
So in the future, the Cub Scouts, any organization in Parkside can make announcements through the borough
No,
email?
what we did was a one and done. We did one for each of the events. We didn't know the size of turnout for either of the events. And I think now that the community and our police department is becoming more comfortable seeing events on the avenue, that it's a one and done.
It's a one and done of posting of announcements, or it's a one and done event? I'm not sure what's one and done.
One and done on that type of events.
That type of event. But what about, when is our borough email used for communicating to the residents?
We don't have an email. We have an email blast that is privately run and operated. And
When you say privately run, it's not run by the borough council?
that's correct.
So the email blasts that come from the government of Parkside are not from the government of Parkside?
Councilman, would you like to explain?
Yeah, what's the email address on there? Who sent that?
Parkside 19015
At what?
at gmail.com.
That's not a borough site.
Okay, but we receive from that email all kinds of information about the borough. Isn't that the official borough email?
I think we're mixing apples and oranges. If you're talking about the email blast that goes out,
Right.
where residents must sign up for, is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. We put that out for emergencies, look out for the weather, there's a pothole in the middle of Edgemont Avenue, you know, that type of thing, a general type of information. What we did was...
And what is that email address?
I don't know. I only get the email blast.
No,
The email,
I don't know.
the email address that I sent that out. I'm asked to send that out. It's not a
understand.
borough one. The one that you're saying is a borough, they contacted us as a council. It has borough.com at the end of it. That's a borough website, email address. That is a private site.
Okay, and how was that email list accumulated?
I get an email, and I've never noticed the email address. I already signed up for my email address, so honestly, one of these days, if I get one, I'll look and I'll let you know. I don't know. I just see it in my email box.
So you're saying this was not an official notification from the borough of Parkside, and that nobody signed up for this email list expecting to be getting notifications from the community?
Whoever signed up, if you go on our website, let me start from the beginning. If you go on our website, you can find a link to put your email address in there to get notification from the borough.
Right, and if you...
Are we okay so far?
Agreed.
Okay. When the event for the Blue Lives Matter occurred, the two gentlemen, residents who started this, came to myself and asked, how do we get a notice put out because there'll be activity on Edgemont Avenue? I said, give me your verbiage. I contacted Nick. And I said, they would like this put out so people know what's going on at Edgemont Avenue.
Right, but this is,
So far, so good?
yes,
Okay.
but this is an invitation to attend. This is not like, hey, there will be a rally and, just cover.
The council did not sponsor it.
It certainly looks like a sponsored activity from the way this.
I don't have a copy of it, I'm sorry, I don't have a
I
copy.
can pass it down to you.
I don't,
So the Parkside 19015.
now let me
Gmail address.
interrupt you. It says members of the BTB will be having a Back the Blue rally. And it does not say please attend. It says please share with all your family, friends, and any local pages. Spread the word any way you can so we can have a good turnout. Bring your flags, bring your signs, thank you, and God bless our police. It does not say this is from the borough. It says come on down. And if you,
Right, but the only way I got that email
Was from a email blast.
was by signing up
Right.
for an email blast from the borough before I was on council. So it seems as though government resources have been used.
no. Government resources are not being used. That is a volunteer position through, if you look at it as a Gmail account. That is, the person doing that is volunteering their time. We don't frivolously spend government money, believe me.
It's not,
too cheap.
there may not be dollars involved, but it's still a government resource. If it's an email list created by,
So you didn't support the rally and nor you support the police? Is that what you're trying to say here?
I don't see how I said that at all. I'm saying that government resources
I'm
were
just
used
asking a
for,
question.
I'm saying
All right, government
re-
resources are not spent on this, period. Now, do you have anything else this evening?
Yes, I'd like to go back to the streetlights.
Okay.
Has the borough solicitor, the borough engineer ever received a cost estimate for changing out all of the lights? to
I
be
have
LED?
that if you bear with me a second.
Okay.
I have it from a budget 2 years ago or 1 year ago. I think I still have it with me. Yes. September 24th, 2019.
Okay.
Below is a budget price to replace the borough's existing streetlights with 53W and 101 watt Cree LED Cobra heads. The price includes all miscellaneous materials, environmentally responsible light disposal. It also takes into account spacing the project. I have included a solid-state photocell with surge protection. I based this cost on material, heads, labor, and the total cost was, I think she calculated to be over $50,000, $51,000 or $52,000. And this was from September of 2019.
Okay, so here we go. So, have we done a return on investment? Like, what is the existing streetlight wattage and the new one was
Well,
said was
since
253?
since the street lights are paid out of liquid fuel, and for those people in the audience who have never heard me say liquid fuel before, that's a trickle-down effect through the state to the municipalities based on population and mileage of your streets. We do not pay for our street lights. It's paid out of liquid fuel. It's financially irresponsible to take $55,000 out of our budget and put it in streetlights when another entity, being the state, pays for our streetlights. And I don't think it's fiscally responsible to have our engineer, though very reasonable in cost, do an estimate on how much the light bulbs are going to cost versus changing them over.
I can tell you, you would probably have a savings of somewhere between 45 and 55% of your of your bill. Problem with streetlights, and you would do your traffic signals as well, your traffic signal as
One.
well.
One.
The three heads on the signal.
Right.
Or 3 lamps on the signal. But I have not done one. I have done those. As a matter of fact, there was a company, ESG, that has done several of these. It's an energy savings company that comes in, does a free audit, does interior, exterior, your street lights, your traffic signals, cameras. I think I sent you something
You sent it to
about
me
that.
already, yes.
To look at that and determine whether or not it makes any sense, you would actually have to do a loan for the upfront costs. They would provide you with a percent or the amount of savings that they're estimating would be guaranteed. And then you would put the project together. They would take care of the project. There's no bidding that's done because they are already on CoStars, so you don't have to bid the project. And that's probably the best way or the cheapest way to do it versus having a lighting engineering firm come in and do all of that design. I will tell you, and it's one thing that Ann Pence put in the proposal from Lenai, that you've got to look at the spacing a little differently because the LED lights don't shine the same as a sodium, a mercury vapor or sodium light. You don't have the spread like you would have with those lights on an LED. You do save money. There's a tariff that's involved, so you don't save as much with a street light as you save with a traffic signal. Traffic signal, I can tell you unequivocally, you save at least 2/3 of the costs because your reds and your greens are your biggest savings. So your bill goes down about 2/3.
Okay.
That's the best I can tell you.
Okay. So $50,000 is the estimate?
Yes, that's correct. And
How many
that-
streetlights is that?
And that was, what did I just say? September of 2019. That's correct.
And that's just streetlights, that's not...
That's correct.
that's not
I
full
only
lights.
asked for an estimate last year, streetlights. Does anybody else on council have any new business? If not, I'll entertain.
Madam President, could I say something?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I have, and the chief and I have talked about this numerous times, and I have gone on record as saying that I compliment the individuals for the Black Lives Matter cause, but they've done an excellent job showing exactly what the First Amendment is. I really don't even want to call them protests because protests engender the thought of somebody's against something. These are not protests, they're rallies. They're rallies by people who I firmly believe in the cause. But I think the cause is diminished on both sides of the aisle by this bickering over who gets an email blast and who doesn't, about whose ego is offended because something is says something or something isn't said something. I think that we really have to start to understand each other in this matter. Because an individual doesn't attend a Black Lives rally doesn't mean that they don't believe that Black Lives matter, or for that matter, all lives matter. I think an individual who doesn't attend a Back the Blue rally is not saying that they don't back the police officers and what they do. I really think we have a chance here in this borough to produce very positive results, both for both organizations and for the First Amendment. I just wish that we could get over this bickering about email blasts and egos and that type of thing, because in my opinion, as humble as it is, that diminishes everyone's participation in this type of activity. Thank you, Madam President.
Mayor, I totally agree. It's not you against us. We're all in this together, and we need to communicate. One of the biggest problems is communication and the lack thereof. And when you communicate with respect, you get respect.
Can I make a motion to adjourn?
Yes, sir.
Can I say something?
Excuse me. Hold on, Nick. Go ahead, Mrs. Guy.
I would like to make a motion to form a bipartisan communication committee.
Second.
Regarding the Facebook group that is administered and moderated by Council President Percival, Councilman Capabianco, Councilman Long, Todd Bennett, and Michelle Skrobeck. In early February, I sent Solicitor Wills an email which explained that members of council are violating the civil rights of our residents with their use of Facebook, which makes them vulnerable to lawsuits. The solicitor stated in his reply that he does not have any particular expertise in the area of social media law. I replied to Solicitor Wills via email on April 17 and attached a court case that directly pertains to our situation in Parkside. I also included a summary I wrote, as well as articles that describe the legal implications of recent cases to a public official's use of social media. President Percival instructed Solicitor Wills not to spend any time reading the material I sent because she did not feel the expenses merited against our budget. By now, I would have expected our solicitor to familiarize himself with recent court decisions and their implications to a public official's use of social media in order to properly serve our borough, since this topic has come up at multiple meetings since the beginning of the year. Just as physicians read journals to stay informed of new developments in the ever-evolving field of medicine, lawyers are also expected to inform themselves on current case law that affects their clients. Solicitor Wills has repeated several times the claim Council President Percival has made that the group is run by council members who are acting as private individuals. According to the article, Court Rules Public Officials Can't Block Critics on Facebook from the ACLU, it is important to remember that people who hold public office can wear two hats. Sometimes they act as private individuals, and other times they are government actors. While they maintain their First Amendment rights when acting as private individuals, they are subject to the limits the First Amendment places on the government whenever they're doing government work. As the court rightly held, that includes any time they're controlling a Facebook page they maintain in their official roles. Specifically, the court recognized that when a public official uses a Facebook page as a tool of governance, that is, when she uses it to inform the public about her government work, solicits input on policy issues through the page, and swathes it in the trappings of her office, she is controlling the page as a government actor. And if she opens that page to public comment, the interactive space on the Facebook page constitutes a public forum. The following is an example of the council president using her Facebook account to post an official announcement on the borough group. Shirley Percival, President, wrote, "Hi Parkside residents, just a reminder that recycling is the first and third Wednesdays." It goes on to talk about trash, and then it's signed, "Thank you, Shirley Percival, President of Council." Despite the protestations by the administrators and moderators of the borough group that it is run by residents who just happen to be members of council and is not an official group of the borough, it does indeed constitute a public forum. It was announced, the group, at the council meeting by the council president on December 19, 2018. There was a link to it on the homepage of the borough website inviting people to join, and it was advertised as the official group of the borough in numerous newsletters which were produced using taxpayer dollars and distributed to every household in our borough, up to and including the issue that came out last January. And it is used as a tool by borough officials to communicate official announcements. The group has over 600 members, many of whom joined when the group was represented as the official borough group. It is too late now to claim it can be run however the administrators wish to run it. Since the council members created the group using borough resources and used the group to make official announcements, they are controlling it as government actors, and they are subject to the limit the First Amendment places on government whenever they are doing government work. Individual council members have blocked residents from their Facebook profiles so they are unable to see any public posts they make, including announcements they post on the group in their role as a member of council. Most of these announcements can only be seen on Facebook by Facebook users who are not blocked by the group or the council member, and those announcements are not on the website or sent to the residents via email blast. This violates the residents' right to information. For example, Nick Capobianco sent, "Please avoid Edgemont at Forest View Road. Sinkhole has enlarged. PennDOT is on their way." The right to criticize public officials is constitutionally protected speech. From the same ACLU article cited before, This means that when a public official blocks critics from the page because of their viewpoints, she violates the Constitution. Indeed, the right to criticize the government is at the heart of the First Amendment. The court specifically recognized blocking as infringing on that right, noting that blocking someone in order to silence criticism of government work is itself evidence of government action. And in the article, Public Officials Beware Blocking Critics on Social Media from the American Bar Association, the judge said, the First Amendment does not permit a public official who utilizes a social media account for all matter of official purposes to exclude persons from an otherwise open online dialogue because they express views with which the official agrees. Parker went on to conclude, we remind the litigants and the public that if the First Amendment means anything, it means that the best response to disfavored speech on matters of public concern is more speech, not less. By deleting certain posts and comments and turning off comments on certain posts, the administrators and moderators are violating the First Amendment rights of our residents. Because council members control the Facebook group and use it to make official announcements, the group is a public forum. All of the residents who are blocked from the group or by public officials have a valid complaint that their right to information is being violated. From the article from the American Bar Association, the basic lesson from these cases is that once a public official opens a social media account and uses it to interact in an official capacity with users, the account qualifies as a public forum under the First Amendment, and the public official may not exclude users on the basis of viewpoint. There are more residents beyond those who have complained that are unhappy with how they are being treated by certain members of council, and some have sought advice from both law enforcement and attorneys on how to get these members of council to stop violating their rights. I have asked the residents to let me try to handle this directly instead of pursuing action themselves, so the borough can avoid the attorney fees, court costs, and any penalties that would be incurred if they were to file a complaint with the ACLU or pursue their own legal action against the council members. In order to avoid violating the rights of our residents, the council members must unblock all of the residents from the Facebook profile they use to post any announcements as a council member. Since the group membership was built using borough resources, it belongs to the borough. The group must either be deleted or administered in such a way that does not violate the right to information and First Amendment right to free speech of our residents. That would mean unblocking all residents who are currently blocked from the group and approving all requests by residents to join. Comments cannot be left on for some posts and turned off for others. Posts can't be selectively approved from some residents and deleted from others. Posts and comments cannot be deleted because the administrators don't like the content. The group rules need to be applied evenly and not enforced for some and disregarded for others. For example, rule number 5 states...
Are you almost done, Mrs.?
I am actually almost done. Rule number 5 states, keep conversations civil. There will be zero tolerance for any form of bullying from anybody whatsoever. No personal attacks and no irony/sarcasm. If you don't like something, ignore it. Yet the following comment from Councilman Long was permitted. Can we call out the desperate housewives of Parkside, AKA despicable middle-aged housewives of Parkside, that is creating all this drama? You can find them on the Freedom of Speech 19015 Facebook page, Administrator Councilman Anna Guy. Also, the group rules need to be revised to comply with the standards for a public forum. For example, rule number 3 says, negative comments from any other website towards any of the members of this site will be banned immediately once proven. Is clear intent to block residents based on criticism, which is protected speech under the First Amendment. If the residents were to pursue action against the council members who have blocked them or deleted posts or comments, would the council members or the taxpayers pay for their legal defense, court costs, and any penalty? I would ask Solicitor Wills to advise council members to administer their Facebook group and pages in such a way that does not violate the rights of our residents. If he does not feel that he has sufficient knowledge about the laws regarding social media used by public officials to advise them properly, perhaps he is not the best person to advise the council on this matter. I urge members of the council to Google can elected officials block people on social media and do their own research? I would like to make a motion to form a bipartisan communication committee made up of residents and council members who would be charged with developing a plan for the use of email blasts, social media, the borough website, and the newsletter to effectively communicate with our residents in a way that does not violate their civil rights.
Are you finished?
I am.
Let me explain to those who are not aware. In the last 2 weeks, council has been bombarded by, I will call them concerned citizens, over social media issues. They only copy Mrs. Guy. The Facebook site that you were speaking of, which you have continually talked about for 8 or 9 months now, is privately owned. It is not owned by myself. I was asked to be a moderator. No tax dollars are spent, as I have said before, on this site. There is no political post permitted. That has been stopped 3 months ago. The header has been changed. Residents who have complained about being blocked may not politically agree with some of our opinions. We have asked that the newsletter not have a link to it. No public announcements. You pulled up an older announcement. Will be made on that site. If you go back, you will find that those public announcements are removed. Again, no political postings will be permitted. All of which you have talked about removing social media, Facebook, that will cost every taxpayer in this room monies. And you've laid out your case for ACLU to come and sue us. And I will make sure that if that happens and the lawsuit is presented, that those suing the borough will be named in legal terms. Because every person here who is a taxpayer will pay that bill, including everybody on this board. I don't find that communication, whether it's a committee or it's a sit down with tea, will help at this point. I have tried diligently today, I have tried on prior occasions to stop creating a wedge to go between many people in this community which have started the hate and the vile comments and the wedge. And I've tried diligently to move on and respect those with respect and communication. You continually, Mrs. Guy, want to beat the Facebook horse. If you choose to do that, that's your right. And after all, we've all seen what you've thought of every one of us and more on your Facebook page of freedom of speech. At this point, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn. I think we've all had enough this evening.
Oh, point of order, there's a motion on the table, that's the second.
Did I hear a second?
Second.
Then I will ask for a roll call vote. Mr. Sidlow, would you like to form a communication committee?
Aye.
Mrs. Guy?
Aye.
Mr. Schwager?
Aye.
Mr. Long?
No.
Mr. Capabianco?
No.
Mr. Bull? No. Mrs. Percival, no. Motion declined. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, everyone. It's been a long night.